100 grand more.
If you accidentally fall out of a plane, most people think you should aim to land in water, but in reality, that's the worst option. The thing is, water doesn't compress well, and you'll be falling at over 200 miles per hour. The impact will feel the same as hitting concrete. It's better to choose another landing spot if possible. For example, the Do More Deals Summit, where real estate agents get together and learn from the top 1% agents across the nation. This is where you will learn secret strategies agents are used to close 50+ deals a year without breaking a sweat. So what are you waiting for? Click the link and get your tickets today.
Love that. Oh, I removed you, bro. What's up, José?
It's Jose Luis Morales to you, not Jose.
Oh
Come on, bro. Come on. A little bit of respect here.
A little respect on my name.
Put some respect on my name, you know?
So it's good to see you, man. I just got back from EXPCon, which was cool. Great event, great energy. Saw a lot of dope people doing dope things presented there, which was really cool. Was able to add some value. Shout out to anybody who came through. And something transpired while I was there, and I started to get all these text messages. So I had a lot of individuals reaching out because we kind of recommend Follow Up Boss regularly.
Mm-hmm.
And Follow Up Boss recently made a change in their kind of policies. And if you utilize their service. So I was getting all these text messages like, hey, man, what does this mean? I also did a little post about it. And I talked to some individuals about it. So I figured, hey, you know what? We could have a quick conversation about that, triangulate, and share our thoughts on this because it's a developing thing.
Mm-hmm.
And for those who may not be aware, essentially what Follow Up Boss said is that effective November of 2025, a mutual customer, they're calling it, or a shared customer is defined as a person in your Follow Up Boss database who also has a Zillow account. Okay. That means that if an agent imports a contact from their personal sphere into Follow Up Boss, and later that same person opens or logs into Zillow account, for example, by following a Zillow smart link, the agent shares, then under the current definitions, that contact would become a mutual customer. Okay. Once a contact is classified as mutual, Zillow, because they own Follow Up Boss, can combine data from both systems, meaning the agent's notes or communications in Follow Up Boss and the Zillow's user data, and use it within Zillow's ecosystem for personalization, for product improvement, and for marketing analytics under the Zillow Group policy. So what does that mean? So what that means is essentially they'll have the ability to monitor the Follow Up Boss account, and they will be able to kind of see if someone in your database they're in your database, but they also have a Zillow account. If so, whatever notes you've taken on the individual, whatever kind of communications, they can then use that data and information to make their kind of system more efficient, is what they're saying, right? Now, it says, however, Zillow cannot directly contact or prospect that person using your imported data. Because I think that's what everybody's kind of, up in arms about and certainly concerned about. And I understand why. And it does states here that they can't, right, directly contact that person using your imported data. The expanded data use applies to Zillow's internal systems and personalization efforts, not outbound solicitation. So key takeaway, yes, if a previously private lead later creates a Zillow account, such as via an agent shared smart link, that person's status shifts to a mutual customer. This enables Zillow to analyze and combine their FUB activity with their Zillow behavior, though it does not give Zillow permission to directly market to or to call that contact using the FUB stored data. So that's a lot of information at one time. I know I have some thoughts about that. What are your initial thoughts about that as I share that with you, Jose?
I like to revert to your thoughts, and then I'll give my input.
Yeah, it's good.
I made some
So,
notes, but let me hear your kind of opinion on it.
yeah, I think it's interesting because I was having this conversation with somebody today that I think we live in a world where over the last, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 years, there's been this big gap of trust. Like we don't trust institutions, we don't trust, governments, we don't trust doctors even, which is kind of wild. We're looking to influencers to give us information over physicians, right? And trust is really, really important, right? And I think Zillow as a company has smiled before and say, hey, we're not going to do this thing, and then ended up doing it. So I don't think their kind of bank account of trust is very high. And
Yeah.
as such, that's resulting in kind of a lot of this feedback and pushback that we're seeing from the agent community and being really concerned about it. And I think, they are a publicly traded company. I get that. And as such, they have a fiduciary responsibility to shareholders, not agents. And their fiduciary responsibility is to make a profit for their shareholders. So they're basically saying, like, trust us. We're not going to solicit those people. And I think that's what's making people like agents feel really uncomfortable because they don't have a track record of being trustworthy, right? Because I think they've smiled a lot and said, like, yeah, it'll be fine. And then it's not, I remember a time where like the listing agent would, get the leads from their listing. And then slowly but surely that started to change, right? If you wanted to find the listing agents down below and they're pushing, their kind of product, Zillow Flex. So I do think that ultimately though, Leo, the CEO of EXP, he gave a presentation and he said that 66% of consumers, buyers and sellers, the reason that they did a transaction with an individual agent was because of physical interaction. So I think, that still plays a major part. And, to his point, he was like, well, somebody could be in your kind of database and then they go onto Zillow and they end up with they click on a button and a Zillow Flex agent helps them and you don't get the business anyway. So I understand that. I think that there's like some long-term kind of things to think through in terms of like possibilities because they're just becoming a centralized, the difference between decentralized databases and centralized ones, I think is going to be a key driving issue economically, financially, governments, and in our business as well. Because whenever there's a centralized power that controls all the data, they have more control perhaps than what we would like them to have.
Yeah. Well, I think a part of it too is like knowing like sometimes we don't know exactly what's going to happen, but we know the direction where it's going, basically. And by
Yeah.
knowing the direction where it's going, you can kind of make certain conclusions. So I think the first step is just them buying FUB at the very beginning, like they're buying it because of the data component associated with it. So this move right here just kind of moves in that direction of having access to more information, even like Facebook. Like, so what Facebook does is it collects all the data, or Meta collects all the data from you, and then it buys different data pieces from like credit bureaus and other companies, and it makes like their marketing more effective. So I think this is just one of those things. Um, I also believe that like it's not just Follow Up Boss, bro. They own Showing Time as well too. They own Zillow. They own a loan company, so they're just collecting these
Hey, they own
different.
Dot Loop.
Yeah, dot loop. So it's not like just this move. It's like almost like they're like collecting. It's almost
Data.
like there's this not even data. It's like this billionaire in Florida is building like a 26-acre compound, and he started doing like land assemblage. So like 10 years ago, he bought like 3 properties. Then another opportunity came up. He bought like another 4 properties. His vision was already like, hey, look, I'm going to collect this area and I'm going to make this huge compound. And as properties were coming up, he was just collecting them to eventually fulfill that vision of building that 26-acre compound, like right on the beach, bro. Like, I don't know what it's called, but it's like, it looked amazing. It's kind of like the same thing that Zillow's doing. It's kind of like collecting the dot loop. It's got Zillow, it's got Follow Up Boss. Now it's got Showing Time. It's like they're collecting all of the pieces. And if you put the pieces together, their goal is to basically, like, I would say, replace agents.
Yeah, to definitely have like a one-stop shop
Stop.
in terms of like a tile on your phone where you can do everything in one place.
And they're
And
putting
again,
it
I'm aware that they're a broker in all, in all the states, right? They have to be in order to get the IDX feed.
yeah,
So they're collecting all these pieces for data
yeah,
specifically because data is the new, it's currency, right? Like these
yeah.
companies you mentioned, Facebook. Think about this, bro. They get their product for free, which is our data and our information. We give it to them willingly and freely, and then they sell it.
In exchange, yeah.
Yeah. So they're definitely collecting all this data. They have a lot
Well
of data with regards to real estate. And I think
well
that is the ultimate play for sure.
well, even then, like, if you think about it, we've been given our data to Zillow. Like, how many agents go like, "Hey, can you leave a review for me online?" Sure. Where would you like for me to leave the review? Oh,
That's right.
go on Zillow and leave the review. Oh, what's
Yeah.
the process to leave a review? Oh, you got to create an account. You got to put in your phone number and you got to put in your
Hey,
email
that's
address.
interesting, Jose, because as soon as they create an account, now it's a mutual client. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, now they have the ability to market to them. So I think it's like, okay, so I don't think you can beat a company like Zillow. So whenever you're competing, you got to figure out like, okay, what advantage do I have? So like, let's say me and Aaron were playing basketball, you know, like let's just say that, right? Like I'm
Hey,
like,
just for
okay,
just for giggles, let's just
let's just say that I would basically look at Aaron and be like, okay, what are his strengths and what are his weaknesses? And I'd be like, okay, he's probably not expecting me to go left. And I actually have a decent left-handed layup. So I'm gonna burn him a couple times on the left-hand side to set him up so that now he's kind of thinking, and then I'm gonna burn him a couple times on the right-hand side, and now he's not gonna know what way I'm gonna go, basically. So the reason I bring this up is that you can't compete against Zillow nationally. You're not going to be able to, but how can you compete with Zillow? You can compete with them locally.
well,
And you
you
can
can
build
compete
the
with them
business model
locally
around
and
staying in front of yeah.
yeah. So to your point, like we can't beat them at data.
No, you
No
can't.
way. Like it's
So
their game. They're very good at it. They're not going to beat them at data.
you
The
can
thing
beat them
that
with
they can't,
relationships.
you can beat them with relationships, and you can beat them locally.
Yeah.
You can beat them with community, relationships, and branding, which is really about trust. So I remember I shared with you, we were talking, and I was like, yeah, man, like what I'm aware of is the currency of the future. It's not going to be information. It's not going to be money, even. It's trust.
Yeah. Agree.
So like, yeah, there may be data and this and that, and they may be like, trying to market to them and things of that nature. But I know in your marketplace, like you're known as somebody who can be trusted.
Yeah.
And for that reason, if somebody was thinking about doing something, like they're going to prefer to do it with you versus somebody that they don't know and trust. So I think that's the thing to be focused on.
Yeah.
I
How do
think,
I build
I think
community?
initially, yeah, how do I build community? How do I build trust? How do I cultivate relationships? How can I be known as the hyperlocal expert in my geographic area?
How can I become the hyper local expert as well too? Like, hey, do I know my craft better than anybody else?
That's right.
Meaning, like I'll ask agents and I'll be like, hey, bro, what are the timelines on a 1031 exchange? And they'll be like, I don't
Yeah.
know. Hey, I'm selling my primary residence. Can I do a 1031 exchange? They'll be like, hey, bro, there's a couple of people on title and one of them doesn't want to sell. What's the option? Uh, I'm like, bro, you call yourself a realtor, but you don't even know your craft.
Nah,
So
dude.
it's like really becoming that expert, becoming that professional that people know that when they reach out to you, hey, look, this guy knows what he's doing and he's going to take care of me. So
That's
it's like
exactly.
really honing in on your skills and then building that trust with people as well, too.
Yeah. So I think that the initial response, I understand it because it comes from a place of like fear. It comes
Scarcity.
from scarcity. It comes from a place of like, um, I think the narrative of like the big bag enemy versus me, is a common one that it's easy to kind of get riled up about.
There's
Uh,
nothing they can do to stop it.
there's nothing.
It's already on its way.
Oh
The
yeah,
only thing it's like, okay, I'm not gonna be able to beat that game. How can I create an environment where I take an unfair share
of the business. And I
of the
think
business.
that stat of like 66% of people do business because of a physical interaction, that's very interesting. And I also think I know experientially, because we've built community, we've built kind of a brand, and because of that, we're trusted, in the space by agents. And that is true in kind of that game, just as it's true in this game. So I wouldn't be overly concerned about it. If you're I recommend FUB all the time because I think it's the most user-friendly. Anybody that the most user-friendly interface, which increases the probability that you're actually going to use it. Anybody that I know, the vast majority of people I know that have built really big kind of teams or businesses, whether it's on the creative or the retail, they use FUB, bro.
Well, if you're gonna not use FUB because of that, you might as well not send your clients for reviews on Zillow.
Zillow,
You might
yeah.
as well not use Dotloop. You might as well not use Showing Time, and you might as well not use the FUB, because other than that, it's like you're contributing either way.
Yeah,
You
and then
know?
the only option would be is to try to create your own kind of like decentralized kind of solution, because any like third party CRM can be bought. Any of them.
Yeah.
So like,
All of them. And
you
they're
know what I mean?
going to be bought because they are offering them ridiculous amounts of money to buy them.
Mhm.
Like, I remember, like, Real Geeks, when it got started, it got sold to a title company because they wanted the data for, I think, north of $100 million, bro.
Yeah, and then people are like, "Oh, I can't believe they did that, Mike, bro. You would have done that in 3 seconds."
Yeah. The founder was like, yeah, it was so funny. Cool guy, cat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, I think, initially, again, it's something that people get riled up about. I understand why. I understand the fear. I do. At the same time, like you're saying, dude, if that's what's true, don't get any reviews on Zillow. Like, don't use Showing Time. Like, don't use Dotloop. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And I also think that the thing that we should be hyper focused on is the thing that we have control over. It's the thing that they can't do really well. They do data better than we will ever do it. And there was a time and a place for that to happen, and it just didn't take place, with the Association of Realtors, whatever, like it didn't happen. So we don't have control of that data. Fine. Well, the thing that we can double down on and have control over is relationships, because they can't do that. They also can't be the hyper local trusted expert. So frequency equals familiarity, building community, building brand, using media as a mechanism to be seen as a guide that's trusted, will cause you to continue to get your unfair share.
Yeah. And then also, like, having, like, different products and services. Like, so it's constantly be innovating in your business to be able to provide more value than other people. So I'll go on listing appointments and somebody would be like, "Hey, look, like I want to list it with my friend, but hey, I'm struggling financially." I'm like, "Hey, what if I advance you $10,000 to
Mhm.
help you financially?" Like, "Oh my God, if you did that, I'll work with you." Great. That's a product and a service that you're going above and beyond. "Hey, I'm having trouble preparing my house for sale. Hey, what if I send my guys to come help you box up all these items for you? Hey, I'm having trouble with selling the items. Hey, what if I help you with an estate sale? What if I help you with donations?" So it's like, okay, what value am I providing to the marketplace that goes above and beyond simply just putting the property on the MLS? And then it comes down to, like, okay, like, how am I staying in front of people as well too? You
Yeah,
know?
that's
Like, we do.
exactly right.
Yeah, because if you think about it, anytime somebody has a Zillow account, Zillow is, like, literally sending them emails, like, almost daily to, like, weekly for sure. Some
Oh,
sort of email.
all the time. And the question is like, uh, what am I doing? Am I doing anything remotely close to that? Am I sending them something once a month, like a video saying, "Hey, here's what's going on in the marketplace"? Am I sending them something perhaps via like a program like HomeBot? Am I doing past client events, once a
Yeah,
quarter for that hyper local community, right? That these big platforms can't do.
yeah,
And do I have a YouTube playlist, a channel that's specifically kind of pointed towards the avatar, which are people that want to buy and sell real estate, let's say in like Camarillo or in Oxnard or wherever your geographic location is? And do I have playlists that is kind of sharing with people what they want to know, not what you want to talk about, but what the avatar wants to know about, like buying your first home in Oxnard, or how to use a VA loan, or, you know, how to build a real estate portfolio in this area of California, or, you know, things you need to know if you want to sell your home in 2025, things you need to know if you want to rent out your property in 25, right? If you're making it a source of information so you can become trusted and a trusted advisor, right? And that will insulate you from, you know, some of these things that are taking place in these challenges, right?
Agreed. Yeah. So it's a couple things. One of them is, and we're actually doing a client event again next year. We hadn't done one since I think pre-COVID, like 2019. We did a couple of them where we rented out a movie theater, invited all our past clients, kids came by. But during COVID, obviously that wasn't available, so we stopped. And now next year, we're like, hey, look, we've got a lot of past clients. We get a decent amount of business. Let's go back to doing like reconnecting with that database as well, too. You know?
Yeah, which is, again, like, I know that for you, it's a good portion of your business, and it's the thing that will insulate you from, you know, people bumping you. That cat has already been let out of the bag, bro. So, like, in other words,
Yeah.
when I share with people that prior, like, think about like a transaction, like a race. So at the beginning of the race, a contract signed. At the end of the race, there's a closing. In between, all these people get paid. The inspector, the loan person, the escrow person, Jose, like all these people get paid. Home Depot, all these, right? But where are they going before they sign the contract? Online. Where are they going after the closing happens to find out the value of their home? Online. That's already happened. That's been going on for like a decade. Okay. And all these companies popped up as a result, these third-party vendors. Well, two types of companies popped up. One are companies like, you know, HomeLight, Fast Expert, Agent Pronto, where they're just third-party vendors. They know that people are going online first. They get people to land on their site. Then they refer them to an agent and they get a referral fee. Fine. They just want the referral fee. Now, increasingly, those companies started to push into the ancillary services, right? Like the home lights and all these other people. The marketplace changed though. So they kind of went dormant, but they didn't go away. I promise you. Then the second type of company are the Redfins of the world, increasingly Zillow to some degree, but definitely Redfin and others who are like, hey, we want to actually work with those clients. We don't just want a referral fee. We want them to use us, our agents, our stuff, right? Redfin definitely did that. And that's been going on for like a while, right? So to imagine otherwise is like silly. And it's not going away. It's that cat's like not going back in the bag. You know what I mean? So then we look at this strategically, which is what we're doing. We're triangulating ideas. And if we're going to make a strategic kind of decision, it's like, okay, that's the environment that went in. I need lead sources that are predictable and duplicatable, that have a high density of motivated, qualified sellers that I can go to directly. Yeah. I need to develop the skills that are required in order to get my unfair share of the business, that type of business. I need systems, processes, and procedures to be able to do that in volume. And then D, I need to create community and brand so I become the trusted hyper-local expert. Bro, you do those things, you will make your disproportionate, unfair share of the real estate income. You know, you can make $500,000 to $1 million a year doing that.
And I think it comes down to just focusing on the things that you can control. And that's not only just in your real estate business, that comes down to all aspects of life. First is identifying what the right problem is, and then focusing on, okay, what things can I control around this problem? And then what Aaron just described is that assessment that we talked about last week. It's like, okay, like, do I have leads that are highly motivated? Rank yourself from 1 to 3 on that. And if you don't, great. You need to find a way to be able to do that. 2, do I have a sales process? Do I follow a sales process? 1 to 3. Rank yourself, you know? And then the other one is, do I have systems and processes and procedures? 1 to 3. How good are you at that? And if not, it lets you know what area of your business you need to work on at this present moment.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like all of that, 100%. Yes. And I want to really like impress upon any agent that's maybe watching this live or will watch it afterwards, is that these changes, these consolidations. I mean, think about what's happened this year and last year. Remember the whole change with the real estate commissions? Everybody thought, oh my gosh, like, Fine. We were hopping on calls. We were showing people how to present it. And really, it was like a nothing burger. Like, it really didn't impact things dramatically in a major way. Sure, do we have to augment a little bit, but not in a huge way. And commissions didn't come down dramatically either. Number two, we've seen lots of consolidation in our industry. Gary Keller sold the majority, at least, of KW to a private equity firm. Compass bought Anywhere and all their brands, right? Century 21, Caldwell Banker, Better Homes and Garden, Douglas Elliman, all those, right? Now we see this thing coming up. There'll be more of that, guys, over the next 12, 18, 24 months, because we're in this consolidation stage where like there's lots of disruption. So the thing that's important that me and Jose want you guys to know, kind of the guiding light, okay? Which is funny because my mom used to watch a soap opera called Guiding Light. But the guiding light is this. There are people in your marketplace that want to buy and sell real estate every single day. Okay. They want a real estate agent to be involved in it because it's the biggest transaction that they'll probably ever do in their whole life. They still want a human. Okay. People are like, oh, AI, it's another thing. It's going to take over our business. Fine. People vote with their money. Okay. 66% of interactions or 66% of transactions between a buyer and a seller and an agent happen because the agent interacted with them physically. That should bring you okay, so that's like reality, right? And the reality is that there are sources of leads that have high densities, motivated, qualified sellers in them. We've just been programmed because of 20, 40, 50 years, truthfully, of like lazy thinking, where we're just triangulating the same kind of 4 horsemen, like expired, cancels, for sale by owners, just listed, just sold, past client centers of influence. But now we live in a world where we can make data-driven decisions, and there's better sources that have higher densities that we should be focusing on, and we should be learning the skills required in order to convert that business. And it's something we can go after. We don't have to play this lead game with these providers. We don't have to be at their whim. And remember, you can either survive in the jungle or you can live in the zoo. And the way you teach an animal that is free and aggressive and dangerous to live in the zoo is you feed it. And I think most of us, truthfully, down deep, like we just want to be fed. But you have to make a decision in this business, because if you're fed, you're going to be at their control, right? So, recognizing that and stacking time on those skills, getting systems in place so you can do it in volume, and then become known, bro. You've been for 5 years. You're the person that kind of inspired me to even get into the media thing, because me and you have a playful kind of, brotherly, like competitive thing. And I saw you doing it. And I was like, come on, bro, if he could do it, like what's he doing? And it was a great move or decision, because that's been an important part of everything we've been doing moving forward. And I had to learn that skill, and as a result, after years of delivering, bro, I just reached a thing. They sent me an email, 3,500 uploads to YouTube, right? People are like, wow, you're an overnight. Like, yeah, dude, 3,500 uploads to YouTube. Like, just constantly adding value. People are like, hey, I can trust this person. It's worth my time to tune in, right? I can trust this person. It's worth my time to come to Do More Deal Summit. I can trust, right? So you can do the same thing in your real estate business. Become the hyper-local trusted expert. And then if you do the things that we're describing, I promise you guys, you will get your unfair share of the business. You'll be one of the top agents in your office. You'll be one of the top agents in your geographic area or marketplace.
I agree. 100%. 110%. Yep. It's interesting because the whole point of business is to build repeat clients and to build satisfied clients, people that go out and want to work with you again, and people that would refer you. And it's really hard to build a business if you're providing poor service, because people nowadays will go online. I'm shopping for a barn right now, and one of the companies is probably
hey, just very, very nonchalant. He's like, shopping for a barn right now. You're just going to say that randomly.
No, well, I think one of the companies is going to lose the business.
Oh,
and
really?
The reason they're going to lose it is because of the reviews online.
Yep.
And the other company has much better reviews. And when two things are pretty similar, it's like, okay, like these reviews are bad. They're basically saying, hey, look, they're going to sell you, sound really great, and then not deliver on what they promise. And this company's saying the opposite, basically. So they're going to lose that. So the whole thing, it's interesting. I think I told you, I've had 3 situations, bro, in the last 60 days where a client has been talking to somebody and is like, hey, I'm considering hiring this person. And he goes, oh, I've worked with him in the past. He's great. Work with him.
Mm-hmm.
3 different situations. They could have said the opposite thing about me, like, no, don't work with him. And I would have lost all 3 of them.
100%. And what I'm aware of is I think you've done that consistently over time in a very kind of methodical way, giving good service, doing that, which is great. But you've also compounded it with media.
Yeah.
Because for the longest, bro, you've been creating content, positioning you as the hyperlocal expert. You've been blasting it out to a database consistently over time. Frequency equals familiarity. You know what I mean? So it's both.
Well, I think I started probably like doing the email where I send 1 email once a week. I think I started once a month, and then I went to once every 2 weeks, and then now we do it once a week. But I've been doing that probably since 2014, 2013,
I know.
somewhere in that range, bro.
A
Where
long time. Hey, when you had like a little goatee and everything.
yeah, if you see some of the early episodes of the podcast that I had, like, dude, they're like so, and it was just like, hey, look, like, what is title insurance? But the cool thing about that is that it educated me like tremendously. So whenever I had these guests on what is title insurance, hey, how do you do owner financing? I learned something which now gives me like an additional tool to like really know my product a lot better.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, like hopefully you guys are getting this clear, realistic picture. Somebody posted a comment, FD. He's like, yeah, if you're being fed, you're under control. What an interesting perspective. It's true, bro. If you're on a team and you're being fed, you're under control. If you are kind of buying leads, from a third-party provider, you're under control. Whoever controls the lead controls how much it costs. And you know what that goes back to, bro, where I really got that mental map? So awesome. So I was on a cruise ship with Grant Cardone and some other individuals. And on that cruise ship was a guy named Bob Duggan. Bob is a billionaire. He's on Forbes 400. He's the 76th richest guy on the planet. You know how people are like, yeah, like, I'm number 1 in my market. Like, bro, this is one of the richest guys on the planet, which is insane, right? And I found myself in the gym with him, just me and him.
Which is insane.
Which is crazy. And I heard my wife, like, because I'm like, I don't know if I want to bother him, but I heard my wife like, bro, you have to go talk to him. Like, you have to. You owe it to yourself and anybody else who looks to you for guidance.
Yeah, when else are you going to get that type of
When else are you going to get that opportunity? So I go up to him. I'm like, hey, Bob, hopefully I'm not disturbing you. Is it okay if I ask you a few questions? He's like, yeah, what's up? And I asked him, like, look, you've clearly been successful in various different areas of in your life, very different industries. His first company was a cookie company that he sold for like 20 million. Then he got into pharmaceuticals and bioengineering. Like, and he doesn't even have degrees in that stuff. So I was like, how do you determine what's worth stacking resources on? Because a CEO's job is to, make decisions around deployment
Capital,
of resources, human and financial. And he looked right at me, Jose, and he was like, control equals money. Figure out what you have control over and double down on it and keep tweaking it and making it better. That's interesting. So do you have control over what Zillow does? No. Do you have control over how much they charge for the leads? No. Do you have control over consumers going online before they call you? No. You don't have control over any of that. Do you have control over interest rates? No. Do you have control over if Compass buys this company? No. Do you have control over what MLS systems do? No. You don't have control over any of that. You know what you do have control over? You completely have control over your skills. You completely have control over what lead sources you choose to stack time on top of that are independent of large referral fees and any of these other players that are pushing into your space trying to take money off the table. You have complete control over what you do from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. You have complete control over what you put into your head. You have complete control whether or not you develop systems or not. You have complete control whether or not you learn how to do the media thing and push through, having nobody watch for an extended period of time. My son told me there's a famous YouTuber or streamer. His name is Jinxie, and he plays video games. Bro, now he makes like crazy amounts of money, like millions of dollars a year as a streamer. For the first year of streaming, Jose, for a whole year, every single day, the only person that was on his streams was his dad. He streamed for hours and there was nobody watching, just his dad, right?
It's amazing.
So you have control over that. I was the guy who made fun of people who did media 4 or 5 years ago. Now they have me in front of the best of the company, the top 169 agents, teaching them media. because I learned something new. So if you focus on what you have control over, double down on it. Because if you do what's easy, your life becomes hard. But if you do what's hard, your life becomes easy.
Yeah. And I'll tell you this, like if you don't stay in front of people, if you don't focus on building relationships, if you don't follow up, somebody else is going to follow up.
Hey, didn't
Like,
you had this wild story where like
well, I was telling him like I had one of my wife's family members who was telling me at a family event, and he was like, "Hey, look, like I'm actually getting pre-qualified, and I would like to work with you if you would even take me on as a client." Like almost like basically saying, "Hey, I know you're busy. If you would consider helping me, like I would be very open to you working with me." And I don't know why, but I never followed up like after that conversation. And then we find out recently that they're in escrow. And what popped in my head, I'm like, look, if you don't follow up, and I've got like a couple leads that right now that I'm just like aggressively following up with them because I know that they're, and I took a listing yesterday and it was because aggressive follow up, meaning like staying in touch with them. And, and it was funny. I asked him why he did business with me, and he was just like, "Look, to be honest, like I just got really busy, and your track record is great, but I never even ended up talking to the other agents." So I stayed in contact so much that it was just like, "Hey, look, this is the almost like Jose, this is the easiest thing to do, basically for me. Like you're great and everything, but it's the easiest thing to do." But it had to do with the follow up and having conversations with them and staying in front of them. Um, but if you aren't doing that, if you aren't touching base with people, aren't following up with people that are expressing interest in buying or selling, it doesn't matter if they're your family members. It doesn't matter if they're your best friends. If somebody else is feeling that need, that person's going to get the business.
That's right. So, again, I think
Just $20,000 lost, no big
that's
deal,
light work. So you can afford it. So, again, I just want everybody, don't get super afraid. It's okay. The number one repeated verse in the Bible is don't be afraid. Number two is, I am with you. And number three is God is good. Like if we calm down the noise, I know it can, get us all riled up. We have a competitive advantage and we should be doubling down on it. They can't do, relationships, and they can't do community. We can do that. We just need to learn how to do it better. We need to learn how to make data-driven decisions around lead sources, get the skills that are required in order to take advantage of those lead sources at the highest possible level, get systems in place so you can do that in volume, and get into this media thing so you can become somebody who's trusted. You know what it's kind of like, Jose? So like if you've ever been somewhere where there's a lot of people, like you don't know anybody, you're constantly like looking for somebody that you might know. But when you see that person, you're like, oh, I know that person. You go right over to them right away, right? Well, it's because there's some level of trust with them. And because of media now, that's what happens. You could be in a sea of billions of people, but they're like, oh, I know Jose. I get emails from him all the time. Oh, I see his truck all the time. Like, oh, my sister did a deal with him. Like, I know him. I can trust him. Right? And that's the thing that I think everybody in business, not just real estate agents, but everybody should be really, really doubling down on, is building a community and building a brand, because those two things build trust.
Yeah.
And that'll earn you way more business than, people scraping data. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think also like when you build trust is I've been involved in a couple recent sales processes where I'm the consumer, basically.
Mm.
And I've taken a step back and be like, okay, like what is it about this person that I like? And essentially it comes down to like they built trust. But I'm like, okay, how have they built trust with me? And one of the guys educated me. And he had options. There was one company that only had one product, and anytime I'd ask him a question, it would be like a very like smirky response, very short. And then the other guy, I would ask him a question and he'd be like, "Let me show you." And then he educated me, and I'm like, "Dude, for some reason I trust this person a lot more." Not only that, he gave me both options. He's like, "Look, I don't care if you buy the red iron barn or if you buy the open trust. We offer both of them. It's just determining which one is better for your situation. And I'm just like, huh. So he knew his product. He knew both products. I asked the other guy today, I'm like, hey, what are your thoughts on open trust system? Could not tell me one thing about it. I'm like, hey, the other guy told me this. What are your thoughts on that? Nothing. You know? Did you freeze? I think Novello froze. I'm like looking at him. I'm like, this guy ain't moving. You know? Good. So I'll kind of share with you guys what I've done to kind of stay in front of people. So if you read the Real Estate Millionaire Agent book, I don't remember the exact name, by Gary Keller, he talks about having different points. So I'll ask you, be like, hey, what's the first fast food restaurant that you can think of? Most people would say McDonald's. Then I'll ask you, hey, what's the first soda company that you could think of? Most people would say Coca-Cola. Why is that? Why is it that when I ask people, what's the first fast food restaurant that you could think of? Most people say McDonald's. And when I say, what's the first soda company? Most people say Coca-Cola. The reason that is because they've got a plan to stay in front of you. They are literally everywhere. So let's compare. Let's say you're an agent, right? And your only mechanism of staying in front of people is calling them once a year. Or let's say once a quarter, right? They get a phone call from you once a quarter. And that's 4 touches in a year, right? Now, let's say you said, okay, I'm going to be the Coca-Cola or I'm going to be the McDonald's. I'm going to build different touches with people to be able to stay in front of them. And let's say you have a campaign to stay in front of them 100 times in a year with 100 different touches. Who do you think is going to win that battle?
Yeah.
You think the agent that stays in touch with them 4 times a year? Or do you think the agent that has 100 different touches? So that's basically what I created. I created a campaign where I stay in front of people and I touch them at different points. So the weekly email, that's a weekly email. There's 52 weeks in a year. We don't miss a single email in a week. That's 52 touches right there. That doesn't mean that they're going to see that all the time, but that's 52 touches. Let's say I have a moving truck and a dump truck, and let's say they see it on the freeway. Dude, that could be another 2 to 3 touches a year. Let's say that's another 4 touches. Let's say that I had those little banner ads that you see online, and every website that they go, my advertisement comes on saying, hey, need a cash offer? Or, hey, looking to buy or sell? Dude, that could be another 20 touches in a year. Let's say I call them once a quarter. That's 4 additional touches. Let's say I text in a group text twice a year. Let's say I have an event twice a year. If you start adding all those different touches, that's 52 plus 4 plus 20. That's 72, 78, 82, 84. That's 86 different touches already. Now, let's say that I follow them on social media and they follow me on social media. Dude, that could be another 20 touches right there in a year. So it's creating a plan, having control of a plan and being like, okay, how am I going to be that person that stays in front of them? And when I stay in front of them, like, what is going to be their perception of me? Like, are they going to look at me like I'm staying in front of them just drunk at a party? Or are they going to be like, no, this guy, like, everything that he does is professional, respectful, and he knows what he's talking about? Because you got to be careful too about your touches as well too. You don't want to like build the wrong, type of brand.
That's right. You don't want to be known as the guy who's like, a good time, but you can't trust him.
Yeah.
That's not the goal and objective. So, hopefully we've given you like this clear kind of picture as to how to think about this framework on how to think about, what's going on with Zillow and FUB and what's going on just in the community in terms of like the real estate community. And again, I think my main takeaway from this conversation, what did I say? This guy is a riot. Let's list with him. Yeah, let's go. So I think the main takeaway is, again, like, control equals money. All these other things we don't have control over. We just don't. So double down on the things that you do have control over. Double down on your skills, double down on lead sources. And if you need help with those, DM me or Jose. We'll show you which ones are working in today's marketplace that have high densities and motivated qualified sellers. Double down on what you need to learn in order to take advantage of those. Learn about systems so you can do it in volume. And then learn the media game. So that way you can become a trusted local advisor. If you do these things, guys, you will get your unfair share of the business. You'll be one of the top agents in your market. So don't worry about the things that you have control over. Worry about the things you do. There's this kind of, there's things that you have like some control, the trichotomy of control. There's things you have some control over, but not complete. There's things you have complete control over, which are very few and far between. And there's things that you have no control over, which are most things. Most of the times we get all upset about things we have no control over or some control and not complete. Instead of that, just focus on the things you have complete control over.
Yeah. You know what's interesting too? I did a call for you and I led the call for you this
Oh yeah, how'd that go?
It went well. But I've noticed this trend that like I'll tell people like, hey, look, generating the lead is the easy part. The part that we need to work on is the conversion part. And a lot of people overestimate their ability to be able to convert. They're like, oh no, I've got that part down. And stuff like that. And then I'll start talking to them and I'm like, there's room for improvement in that area. Like there's different layers and different levels of it.
Yeah, but they want to like egotistically or with pride be like, no. Like,
no, I've got that part taken care of.
Hey, do you remember the guy on the call? He's like, yeah, I think I'm as good as Jose. I'm like, don't do that, bro. Don't do that.
Yeah. And then, and I think what happens sometimes, I think too, is that when a market's not like overly competitive, like you think that your conversion is really high, but the reality is that you don't have like very worthy competitors in that niche or whatever niche you're targeting. But the challenge is that you have to be prepared. So when those competitors come, because eventually they're going to come.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
Cool.
Awesome, team. Well, listen, Jose's got an event. If you're in California, go check him out. He knows what he's talking about. Pinch him on his cheeks for me. And let's go be great. We'll talk soon.
Bye.